And we're going to handle our 6.11 1 p.m. item, which is consideration of a presentation of the Lake County Chamber of Commerce and the Lake County Economic Development Corporation. And we have our director of both of those organizations here, Nicole Flora. And at this time, I'll just go ahead and turn it over to you to give us a presentation. Is that turned on?
Is that better?
Yes,
Oh,
100%.
that's better. Okay. All right. We will go ahead and get started here. Let's see. It's a little better. Okay. So my name's Nicole Flora. I'm the executive director of the Lake County Chamber of Commerce and the Lake County Economic Development Corporation. Thank you, Chair Rasmussen and members of the board for having me today. I'm here to give a quick update on the collaboration between the county and the EDC and the Chamber, specifically as its role in leading the visitor center here in Lakeport. So I'm going to start with the EDC. I'm going to do a quick update on sort of the services we provided and then what we've accomplished since October of 2025 and what we plan on completing before the end of September of this calendar year. The EDC has a partnership with the nationwide SBDC program, which provides free and confidential one-on-one business advising, and we also find other funding to provide group trainings either in person or via webinar. We have obtained 20 new local clients, and 2 of them have been business starts since October. And our strategizing for seasonal shifts webinar was successful with 8 attendees, and many of those businesses have implemented strategies to help navigate the seasonal changes around tourism and the summer season. Let's see here. There we go. Another major opportunity that we have to help businesses in Lake County is providing funding through loans, both through our loan portfolio at the EDC, but also through our partnership with a variety of funding sources, both in the commercial banking sector, but also other funding sources that are using subsidized programs. We annually host a Financial Vision event, which helps businesses connect with funding agencies, everything from a startup business, new businesses with some collateral, and older, more mature businesses that show a more sustainable, profitable financials over time. Each of these types of businesses need to be partnered with different types of funding sources. So that's what Financial Vision really is geared towards. This year we had 12 businesses and 10 different funding agencies. We don't know the outcome of that event quite yet, but what I do know is since the event last year, we've been able to document 1.8 million in investment in local businesses just from our small point of view through the services that we provide through the EDC. And we've been able to make one new IRP loan, which is the loan portfolio we manage at the EDC, and that was in the amount of $250,000. So what we can see is year over year, we may not see the results right away, but we see them as time goes on and businesses close loans and make other types of investment in their businesses. Some other campaigns that we run is the Restaurant Expo, which is held at the Woodland Community College in Clear Lake each year. This is our 4th year. We had 82 participants. 26 were local food and wine and other types of culinary businesses. 38 students from Woodland Community College and a couple of the local high schools, and then other partners like food distributors, the tourism improvement partners, and other sort of support agencies to the culinary industry. We at the EDC have also managed the Shop Local campaign. We know through the distribution of stickers and decals that we have over 200 businesses informally participating. And each year, the participating businesses that are formally enrolling on our online map is growing. So this last holiday season, we saw a total of 78. I wanted to take a quick moment and reminisce about the Regional Economic Development Summit held in November of 25. It was at the Soper Reese Theater, and we had a farm-to-table dinner at that ranch. We know that there were 117 people there, but we also know that not everybody signed up, so we round that number up a bit to maybe 125. And 85 or 72% of those folks were from out of county. So the Regional Economic Development Summit is a partnership between Mendocino, Humboldt, Trinity, and Del Norte counties. So a good majority of the people who attend got to see Lake County, many of them for the first time. And then the Farm to Table dinner, which was hosted by the Good Farm Fund. If you're not familiar with that agency, it's a Lake and Mendocino County nonprofit that hosts farm to table dinners and then turns around and uses the profits to grant to small farms. Many of our farmers have received grants from that program. So we were happy to have over 150 people there as well. And I wanted to have you mark your calendars for the 2026 event, which is going to be held in Humboldt in the Arcata region, October 1st and 2nd. I don't have flyers today, but I will get those to you soon. And this year's theme is going to be Rural Innovation, Build, Connect, and Grow. So we're excited to be partnering with them and representing Lake County for that event soon. The EDC has a variety of upcoming events. The first there is on June 22nd in partnership with the Office of Emergency Services here at the county. We're going to be talking about how businesses can be prepared for the upcoming fire season. So if you haven't registered for this event, we would very much appreciate as many folks letting us know that you're going to be there, so we're prepared. The agenda is going to have a few different areas of preparation. One is we're going to do a local wildfire risk overview. It will focus on localized data, fire history, and the outlook for the upcoming season. Then we're going to move into the business continuity planning, showing businesses some of the planning steps and how they can implement even small changes now, making the inevitable evacuation or issues in the future easier and more relevant. For instance, how are you going to pay your payroll if you can't enter your building? Like, do you have a backup plan? Or do you have contact information for all of your employees to make sure you're in communication with them? Making sure that all of those systems are in place prior to an event is going to help everyone navigate more successfully. And then last, we're going to have a conversation about how the EDC and the Chamber can help post-disaster bring resources and partnerships together, both business and government, to navigate recovery process in the future. Hopefully that won't be for a very long time, but better prepared than not. Other upcoming events include 3 trainings starting in June, some business planning, transforming sort of a side hustle into official businesses, and then unlocking the power of AI, which are all very important in a variety of different industries in Lake County. And then the last one we'll do for probably the calendar year moving into the holidays is a specialty foods workshop, which focuses on taking small homemade, usually food products, and taking them to a market on a larger scale. I would be remiss not to touch quickly on the Heart Hub. The EDC has contracted with a variety of funding agencies to help convene and manage that project. The Heart Hub, I think you guys have all heard about it, but it's a training facility for the healthcare sector, particularly focused on growing our own healthcare workers. So I'm sure I'll be giving another update on that soon, as we're going to be starting demolition in the fall. So exciting changes there. That concludes our EDC update, and now I would like to move on to the Visitor Center and how the Chamber has been partnering with the county to run the Visitor Center up on Vista Point. Since October, we've seen over 1,300 visitors in the Visitor Center. These maps are sort of small, but I think you have them bigger in your packet. Most of the visitors that we're seeing walk in the Chamber are from the West Coast, the Washington coast all the way down to most southern border of California. But we are seeing some hotspots in different places in the country from folks that have journeyed out west. That includes Denver, Colorado, Alabama, Georgia, and Michigan. And I found a couple of international visitors in our data, a couple of families, one from Denmark and one from Switzerland. So as people come through, we're welcoming them with open arms. This pie chart above shows of the people who walk into the visitor center and engage with staff, because sometimes they just want to locate their own information. But those who are engaging with us, we're seeing about 64% of them are asking specifically for tourism-related resources. So all good data. Oh, I do want to note, so generally we're open Tuesday through Friday, Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 5, but we have been able to add a Monday morning most weeks through our volunteer staff. So we are trying to expand that capacity as much as we can. One of the tourism programs that we manage at the Chamber is the Certified Tourism Ambassador Program. This program, if you're not familiar with it, is an industry recognized training that focuses on tourism, customer service, particularly as it relates to visitors, local businesses, and local history. I've also seen it really shine strongly in kind of retelling Lake County's story from despair and fire to more exciting events and businesses. So that's always fun to watch as people who have taken the training engage with other folks. Since October, we've had 3 trainings. We have 2 new trainers, and we've certified 19 new ambassadors. The CTA group also hosts what we call adventure events, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but there have been 9 since October. And I wanted to talk quickly about one of the more recent campaigns that the Chamber staff partnered with the CTA volunteers to distribute over 100 check presenters with QR codes. So when anybody in the community goes to a restaurant and they go to check out and you get your check, on the check presenter will be a QR code that links folks to itineraries on the Visit Lake County website, which is sort of a fun way to get folks to interact with the Visit Lake County website, whether they're locals or visitors. So we were able to do that as part of the Restaurant Week distribution of posters. The CTA Adventures is a good group to help us really celebrate our tourism locations. They're always there for ribbon cuttings. We had a variety of tourism-related ribbon cuttings over the past few months. Vision Art Studio, the Diamond Experience, which is a concert nonprofit called Lakeside Jam, the Thule Room at Robertson Rancheria, and the Skylark Shores Resort. And we have a couple of others in the works, so stay tuned to our social medias to find out more about those. Adventures have also created opportunities for people to learn about wineries, farms. They were at the fishing tournament and provided an opportunity for folks to learn more about the biology of the lake, and Eli staged stop. So lots of opportunities. Oh, I forgot to mention, I originally wrote this before this last weekend, but I don't want to miss Disney's boat rentals and the Featherbed Railroad. They're both included in our ribbon cuttings that have been very well attended and celebrated. So, okay, so the Lake Life magazine, the 2025-26 edition has been distributed, or has distributed over 3,000 copies since October. And then we've also started on the 2027 issue, which we will see in production in the first quarter of 27. So it'll be in place long before the tourism season, which is not how it happened in 25. And then the maps are another piece of our distribution methodology. So the official visitors map, the requests from the Lake County website come to our office, and our staff mails them all over the country. This sort of follows the same trend, with a lot of them making their way to the West Coast, but some of the areas overlap to where folks are coming from when they come in person, most notably Denver, Colorado, and Michigan, but we're also sending them out to Georgia, Indiana, and Boise, Idaho. Events and tourism support. We've been, as part of the Restaurant Expo, the Chamber has been hosting Restaurant Week for the last 4 years. So this year we had 15 restaurants participate. And what was fun about this year was we had a new partnership with the Winery Association, and there were, I think, 3 different wine events that were hosted in partnership with restaurants that sort of helped boost sales during this time of year. For those who aren't familiar, the season between New Year's and Super Bowl / Valentine's Day is historically the slowest time of the calendar for restaurants, and it's often when restaurants feel the crunch the hardest. And so Restaurant Week is designed to help get the local community more engaged and help draw them out of their hibernation and get them to eat at the local restaurants. Some of the feedback has shown up to a 10% increase in sales during that week because of the marketing for the countywide event. The fishing tournament happened in March. We had 154 participants, which was slightly down from last year. But in the scheme of things, last year's event had horrible weather, and when that happens and they had to cancel one day, people sort of were iffy about whether or not they were going to come back. So we saw it's about 95% of what we had in the previous year. And I wanted to note that 79% of those fisher people are from outside of Lake County, and 10% were outside of California. So we are seeing people come from outside of the area to enjoy the lake for these fishing tournaments. So with that, my presentation is concluded. I did bring some paper flyers to be distributed to them at your convenience, so about upcoming events.
Questions from board members at this point? The 1,300 visitors, that seems pretty good to me from October. I don't have a previous comparison to look on, but what was your thought on that? I mean, is that kind of what we've been seeing, or does it seem like it's increased, or do we know?
It's in line with the last couple of years.
Okay.
It is not in line with what we saw pre-COVID.
Okay. And then I don't know if you have a way to know virtually on the chamber website, do we track, or do you track how many hits it gets? Is that something that we know? about?
I can find out.
I'm just curious.
It is not. It is something that we look at. We actually track more about our e-blasts
Okay.
to get those open rates, which have historically been remarkably good for in the e-blast world. Most times those are not always opened, but we have a fairly decent open rate, which is where we push out information to the community.
All right, and then just comment on the CTA. I do see them pretty much everywhere. Just as an example, they were at Disney's opening, but then they also had a booth at the Seaplane event,
They were.
which it was counted that between 1,300 and 1,400 people walked into that event. They were tracking, and somebody was surveying, and there was people from out of county there too.
Absolutely.
So I think that was just making the point that I'm glad that they're out at all these events and continuing to give out the information and educate the not only local people, but other people from out of town. So
Yes.
I'm glad that that's going well.
Sorry, this presentation was originally designed
No,
for
it's-
so
I-
you're right about and I missed the Disney boat.
That's okay. I know we were going to do it on the 2nd of June and we couldn't, but with that, I'll go to Supervisor Sabatier.
So I've been to Restaurant Week twice. I never heard the explanation as to why it happened specifically. Or I went to the Restaurant Expo, but Restaurant Week, I never knew exactly why that happened. And I that's appreciated to not just know, but to understand the impact that it makes on already a industry that is not an easy one to find success and longevity in. So that's appreciated. One of the things that you mentioned that's part of an upcoming event that I think is interesting is the use of AI. In one of the Restaurant Expo classes that I went to, it was interesting to hear of the amount of chefs that just throw what ingredients they have left in their kitchen into an AI blender just to see what it spits out so that they can have original recipes that would be not created by them because they're maybe stuck in the usual things that they make, and it expands their understanding of it. And I think that using AI in such a way for our local businesses is really not a unique way, but a smart way to get that extra workforce without having to use someone else to do the work for you. So I've appreciated what I've seen. I appreciate the update. And I think that the dual hat situation seems to be working out really well. I don't know if you're sleeping, but it seems to be working out really well. I just want to
I'm awake.
I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from supervisors at this point? Then I'm going to go ahead and open it to the public. Do we have anyone in the room who wishes to comment on today's presentation? Doesn't look like I have anyone in the room. Anyone online? Betsy Kahn. If you go ahead and state your name, you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Betsy Kahn. I just wanted to point out, Nicole, on your presentation, on your last slide, it gives your email address, but there's a Y missing in the word county. So either it actually doesn't have the Y, or people need to know that it's actually the word county. Thanks.
Thank you, Betsy. Do we have anyone else online? No. Okay. Then bring it back to the board. Do you want to make another?
Sorry, you hate me for it. I really was hoping you would say Chateau Grenouille out loud, but it didn't happen, and that was very disappointing.
I'll leave that to the native French speaker. Thank you.
All right, then I just want to state lastly, I appreciate you coming in and giving us this update on both the EDC and the Chamber. Appreciate that you have some board members here. I think it's vital that we continue to have strong working relationships and collaborate, because really, I mean, the money that we're getting for tax revenue from sales tax is coming from the businesses, and we've got to keep keep that environment strong to be able to have the resources we need to provide the right services. So thank you for the continued partnership.
Thank you.
And we'll go ahead and conclude this item and move on to our 130 item, which is 6.12, consideration of agreement for admission of new member to the Golden State Risk Management Authority, the joint exercise of powers agreement for providing liability, workers' compensation, property and other coverages, and the Golden State Risk Management Authority bylaws. And I'm going to turn this over to County Council for presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and we also have Rick Ensley, who's our risk analyst in my office. And we may have other participating members via Zoom from representatives from PRISM and GSRMA. Just wanted to make sure that they're on.
Do we
on
have
as well,
PRISM
just in case.
online? We make them panelists so they can.
It would be Gina Dean, Scott Shimke, Tim McClanahan, and a couple of others here, Dave Glende, yeah, Jennifer Peters,
And you want to just have them available in case?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll
just in case.
wait on calling on them
Right.
unless you advise.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
So I'll start with a brief overview, and if your board has any questions, we do have representatives from PRISM and GSRMA to further assist
Thank you.
on this matter. As you can see from the board memo here on April 21, 2026, staff in coordination with PRISM provided presentation to your board on the casualty market cost drivers, primary general liability coverage changes that would soon take effect on July 1, 2026 for the county. So pursuant to your board's prior direction at that meeting, staff provided notice to PRISM of your board's intent to, essentially because of the impending withdrawal from the county's general liability coverage, the notice of withdrawal was sent out to PRISM that will take into effect July 1, 2026. And in conjunction with that, the county's consideration, your board's consideration review to obtain membership under GSRMA, which is the Golden State Risk Management Authority, to take into effect July 1, 2026, in order to maintain the county's primary liability coverage. So since that time, staff had a chance to review the membership documents, and it's attached, was uploaded as part of the agenda packet. For consideration, staff also looked into possible alternatives that were initially outlined on that April 21, 2026 board meeting, one of which was the self-insured option, self-insured retention for $100,000 or more, by which the county would be required under that scenario to retain its own third-party administrator. So staff did look into that issue, as you can see here, as outlined in the chart that was included in the board memo. Staff estimates that actually going down that route would be less cost-effective, more expensive than going to the GSRMA route. And so at this point, I believe Glenn is currently a member of GSRMA. I believe Siskiyou is in the process or has already obtained membership. And then for your board's consideration, if the County of Lake were to join the JPA under GSRMA, GSRMA representatives have indicated to staff that they do anticipate to bring changes to its bylaws, the election timelines, and other policy changes in order to accommodate this anticipated setup with having 3 counties as opposed to initially just 1. So those were outlined in the memo itself. As I stated before, representatives from PRISM, Gina Dean, and other representatives from GSRMA are available to answer any questions that your board may have. But for your board's consideration, staff is recommending that we approve the agreement documents that would include the bylaws to have the county join join GSRMA for purposes of retaining the county's primary liability coverage.
Thank you. Do you have anything else you want to offer at this point, or bring it to the board? Okay. Supervisor Sabatier.
I just want to say I appreciate the last presentation we went through when there was an amendment to PRISM. At that point in time, I feel I got all the information that I needed. Thank you for doing the background work and getting us to where we are. I think there's no real better choice than what's in front of us, so I'm ready to move forward.
Thank you. Any other supervisor comments at this point? I don't. I feel comfortable with it. We had a good presentation a little while back. I'll go ahead and open it to the public. Do we have anyone in the room? I'm not seeing any. Do we have any online? No. And I'll bring it back to the board for action.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agreement for admission of new member to the Golden State Risk Management Authority, the joint exercise of powers agreement for providing liability workers' compensation, property, and other coverages, and the Golden State Risk Management Authority bylaws, and authorize the chair to sign.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries 4-0. Thank you, County Council. And we're going to move on to our 6.13 item. It's a 2 p.m. item, sitting as the Lake County Watershed Protection District Board of Directors. Consideration of discussion from the Middle Creek Restoration Project Committee on the Middle Creek Restoration Project, MCRP, status update and direction on property acquisition strategies, and sponsored by Lake County Water Resources Department, but I don't think we have them. Is that correct, Supervisor Sabatier? Are you going to?
We did have Michael Bedar.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to start this off, kick this off, Supervisor? Or?
No, actually, we've been having some great meetings. We felt it was time to update the board on our status, and then there's a bit of a discussion / request at the end of the presentation, because we need to ask the board for direction. And I want to pass it on to either my colleague Supervisor Crandall, if he wants to add anything else, or else Dr. Mary Jo Velasquez is ready to provide a presentation, which I'm bringing up shortly.
Did you want to provide?
Well, yes. We've been just a little history on this. We've been meeting ever since I want to say 2019. We had a whole different group. Started out because they were meeting probably once a year or having just a presentation up to the board once a year. We were struggling with getting properties purchased, and so we put together this this committee, and we met every month, and then we got to a point where we're meeting every other month, and then now we have still with Harry Lyons and Mary Jo, of course, and then Supervisor Sabatier and myself. And so we've been meeting and putting forward effort to try to get this moving forward faster. And this is an update by Mary Jo.
Okay, I'm good now. Okay, I'm going to start with a couple of slides just in case anybody needs some focus on why Middle Creek matters so much. So this is an image taken by NASA in December 25th, 2015, after 2.2 inches of rain had fallen in the few days before. And you're seeing the phosphorus-laden sediment. It's phosphorus-laden because it's from volcanic soil entering Clear Lake. Next slide.
Takes a second to change. There.
Okay, and this is the year before, after all those 6.4 inches of rain, and you can see the sediment that just is still streaming in from the top of the lake from Middle Creek. And why, we're going to go through some recent data that illustrates why the Middle Creek restoration is so important. So next slide. There's one of the first projects approved by the Blue Ribbon Committee was UC Davis study of various things that are going on in and around Clear Lake. And this was prepared by UC Davis, funded by the California National Resources Agency, and published online in January of this year. And this particular graph is from the hydrological simulation program from the U.S. Geological Society. So the blue is the rain flow over the average from 1981 to 2023 in cubic feet per minute. And the sediment in orange is tons of sediment entering Clear Lake from various creeks per year. Again, a long time span. You can see Middle Creek is by far the most water enters, and by far the most phosphorus-laden sediment enters Clear Lake from Middle Creek. Next slide. Further in this report, they mentioned that Tule Lake restoration has resulted in reduced sediment loads from Scotts Creek by 36%. So you can, the graph on the left is the left two bars are the current data that I just showed you, and the right is the 36% reduction in sediment. If you look at the image of Tule Lake from the air, one of the big issues with Tule Lake is there are no tules. NRCS tried planting tules and they were promptly eaten by pigs. So it's a big problem. What your next click? Click.
Sorry, I was
like-
I was engaging in something different.
Okay, oops, back. The problem, because there are no tules, the 36% reduction is really just spreading out and slowing down the flow of Scotts Creek as it enters Tule Lake. So next slide. So the statement further in there that we know both the wetland restoration and reducing channelized flow will benefit Clear Lake. So in the highlighted in blue is the data we just looked at, that reducing channelized flow impact, but we don't really know from this study what increasing wetlands are going to do. And there's a published study from USDA before and adding vegetation to creek flow, and they showed that there was a decrease in sedimentation between 40 and 70% by just adding vegetation. So now if we go lower left graph, we see on the left again, current conditions. Next is the reduction from spreading out, dechannelizing. The next is a 40% reduction, and then on the right side, you can see a massive reduction if we were to get up to 70% reduction. So in the graph set on the right, third pair from the left is the current conditions. The next set is the reduction by spreading out plus the reduction of a 40% reduction from vegetation. And then on the right is if we get optimal, both decreasing channelized flow and maximum effective vegetation. Click. So it's possible we could get over a reduction of over 38,000 metric tons per year of sediment coming in Clear Lake with the restoration of Middle Creek. Next. This is our property purchase successes. So in you can see the 62% of the properties have been purchased to date. We have another 5% that they have the offers that have been produced, approved by the state and the Board of Supervisors, and they're deciding what to do. In light blue, the 12% is our tribal lands, and they're our partners in working on this. Then we have unwilling sellers in yellow, and next. So the important thing here is 79% of the property is either purchased in the process or is tribally owned. And key to this unwilling sellers is 79% of the unwilling seller land and 11% of the total land is owned by the city of 10,000 Buddhas that we have engaged with, and they will not sell the land to us because their hunting will take place on the land. And another important update is that with your brand new 100-year flood levels, we were working on having to do lot line adjustments for property, particularly if they had homes on it that weren't in the floodplain. With the new floodplain, they're in the floodplain now. So we no longer need to do the partial. Something that we've been discussing recently, there's 145 acres in there that's publicly owned, but it's owned by special districts. So we'll have that'll have to be dealt with at some point. Next slide. So this is a map view. So the publicly owned is in light gray, tribal owned is in dark gray, the unwilling sellers are in red, and those that I said had the offers and are making decisions are in yellow. Next. This red one in the middle is Bloody Island. So I want to just update you a little bit on that. Next slide. Next. The owner of it died a few years ago, and he has two heirs. It's a large parcel and then a smaller parcel that was just closed escrow. A few years ago, the larger parcel was for sale for 1.8 million. Next. The owner refused to let us send in appraisers to see what it would appraise for. She said basically, you promise me the 1.8 and you can come on the property. Next. That listing was removed in November of 2024. If you look at our most recent developed land appraisal purchase prices, it's coming in at $35,179 per acre. If you apply that equation, and if that were to hold for this property, we would get an appraised value of 1.4 million. So just an FYI of where we stand. Next, Supervisor Crandall has been working with the tribes on the tribal-owned land. Do you have
Yes,
something?
well, the discussion when initiating this this initiative was to talk potentially about tribal co-management, co-facilitating. As you know and mentioned before, there were some properties that the tribe ended up purchasing and now own and they're in trust, which will work in a co-management efforts towards the future of this project. But the three tribes that would be involved would be Upper Lake, the Hebemitzalo, Pomo Indians, Robinson, and then Scotts Valley. So I know that there's still probably more discussion that needs to take place on that. The name that you see up there, Badonapati, means island village. So I know it's usually called Bloody Island, but the name is basically like a village island. But yes, so further to come, and hopefully we can get to a point where the property is in the county's hands or wherever we go from there.
Thank you. Okay, next. Okay, now where are we on our finances? Those approved properties that we're waiting for closing or they're considering is a little over 3 million. In the property acquisition funds, as the budget sits now, we have a little over 2 million. However, there are contingency funds of over 1,975,000 of which would go to acquisition, and then the rest to maintenance. And it's been requested to get the contingency funds moved over to acquisition, and we were told at our most recent meeting that should happen by the end of June. So then our new property acquisition will be a little more than what we need for the $3,075,000 in pending approvals. So this is the budget. I want to highlight right here that acquisition is item 3. We have administration, groundwork, mitigation, property maintenance as well. So I'm going to be talking about what's going to happen with the future properties in terms of just their acquisition costs at first, and then I'm going to fold in the other 1, 2, 4, and 5. So next.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to butt in just for a moment. So you could see the total at the bottom of this approved budget is about $15 million. This is money that was received in 2018. And once we really got the committee going is when you started seeing action and movement of property acquisition. And this is the second phase of the property acquisition process. There was a grant prior to 2018 that was received. I want to say 2002, 2004. I forget the exact date.
Earlier than that.
But
it was last century.
But this is the second phase of property acquisition in order for us to acquire all the properties so that we can go ahead and move forward with the Army Corps with the project.
Great, thank you. So next, so this is what the funds, as we acquire the property, the proportional amount of administrative groundwork, mitigation and property maintenance is transferred to the county. And so those funds will remain available to the county after the grant closes, which is projected right now to be the end of June 2028. I wanted to bring that up because I run into a lot of the public that thinks if we don't spend everything by the end of June, that we won't have any money for administration, groundwork, mitigation, and maintenance. So that money remains with the county and can be used after the close of the grant period. So next. So the remaining properties. So recent average developed land appraisals, the offers that are in the hands of owners right now is $35,179 per acre. And the Land Trust just had an appraisal done of a wetland adjacent to Rodland Slough on the other side of Middle Creek for the Middle Creek project at $12,000 per acre. So say all the undecideds that we have become yes. So developed land, that'd be $1,119,044. Undeveloped would require $694,200 with a total of $1,813,244 to acquire the undecided. Then looking at the unwilling, we have the developed would be close to 1.8 million, and the Buddhist property would be 2.2 million. So that would, if we were to, as we'll discuss in a minute, go to eminent domain, that'd be a little over to 4 million that we would have to find the funds someplace to do that route if you decide to do that down the road. So next. So say all the undecideds become undecided. They become no's. So then that funding, next, that combines with the already unwilling to be close to 6 million. Keep in mind, that is just for acquisition. We're going to talk about the other aspects of what's required financially for the county. So we've been talking with the county council. That basically 3 options we have. We can just continue to ask the unwilling people if they'd pretty please become active. Or what happened a couple of years ago with Mike Montano's property is that he got the offer and he countered to the county, and the Board of Supervisors found another source for funds to come up with the funding to match his counter. So the amount that was appraised came from the grant that the county has, and then the additional funds came, I'm not sure from where, but from some other source, because you couldn't use the grant money for above appraised value. So I have some notes from unwilling sellers in the past couple of years had basically said they just wanted more money. So then the third option is eminent domain. Next. So so we've talked with Monument, who's our right-of-way people that do the appraisals and handle all the interactions with the state, et cetera. They have the capacity to assist with eminent domain. We have to get a realistic appraisal price, because if this goes to a trial, a jury says it wasn't a fair price, and the county has to pay the legal funds for everybody, legal costs. So they said you should add an additional $100,000 per property owner for legal fees and monuments. And the process is the Middle Creek Restoration Committee sends a letter of support to the BOS, and I believe you have in your packet the draft letter that we worked with the county council on. Next. And then it's up to you. Okay, I said I was going to fold in the other costs. So 50 of the current grant, 59% of the current funding is for actual acquisition, and 41% is for other things. So next. So the willing sellers, if all the undecideds become willing, that's in green is how much we would need to fund through normal channels at the state. And down in red are the unwilling sellers that we'd need to come with another resource. So the next. If then everybody becomes unwilling, then that's how much, lower right, close to $11 million we'd need to come up with another way of funding. So onto the Army Corps, we had a meeting, and basically he said that what they were working on, and then we found out in December meeting that there are all new rules at Army Corps. Basically, we need to be at a 35% design to do an evaluation study. So, and the process to proceed with this, the project must be doable within 3 years and cost less than $3 million. So our project getting to 35% exceeds both of those limits. So the plan then was to use the remaining earmarked funds to complete the programmatic alignment for basically NEPA, for the historic preservation next, and complete the report of the status of the project and update the draft record of decision. So that's what they said they're going to use the money that Mike Thompson got for this project for. And then at an April 6th meeting, we have a new project manager and new people working on it. So it was suggested that the county could do some of the tasks to get to 35%. She said, like the Highway 20 design, next PG&E design, and complete the land acquisition and do the bridge design. So on the right is the old Army Corps of Engineer plans. So next. So then we met with Tyler Miller. Said the reason we're not at 35% is because we need substantial engineering to get there. He mentioned they needed a LiDAR survey, and Supervisor Sabatier volunteered that was just done. He said they also need to do the hydrologic basis of the design, the geotechnical design, including doing some sample boring, but then they mentioned something called the RAPID program that they were very vague about, and I looked online to try to figure out what it was. And it was announced as a major initiative for building infrastructure, not paperwork. And the Army Corps initiative included a rapid planning framework that will efficiently yield high quality authorizable projects. And RISK stands for RAPID stands for risk informed, allied, proportional, iterative, and decisive. So at that point, you know everything I can find online. At the last meeting, they mentioned, the Corps representative there mentioned that we could provide information like what is buried along Highway 20 that would help move towards the 25%. And Michael's Bedard in Water Resources is working on that. Next. We move to Caltrans. Caltrans representative has been at our last two meetings. He said he continues to attend. Basically, if you look at the map, in blue is the new 100-year flood line, and it's about 3,000 linear feet are within that. But using the county's new LiDAR data, they were able to reduce it to less than half of that has to be addressed with some sort of alterations to Highway 20. And in an email, Daniel said that he would provide Highway 20 mitigation cost information and projecting out 3, 5, and 10 years as far as future costs with inflation. And he said he anticipated getting that to us by the end of June. And he said that what they're looking at now is mitigation will require some guardrails along some as well as raising 20. So in April when we met, he also talked about Robinson Casino parking lot getting wet. We asked about some sort of a ring levee or levee to protect it, and Daniel said he was unaware that the Caltrans had ever agreed to have a levee next to a road that was higher than the road. Next. So he said basically Highway 20 will need to be raised, and for other projects it's been with some sort of a sloping that you need more right of way around the adjacent to the road on either side, or next, or guardrails which require taking less land. So then we come to the casino question. So Supervisor Crandall is going to be working with Daniel and Robinson Rancheria to how to coordinate preventing a flood there. On to PG&E. So basically, they said we have two options. You can build berms around the power poles, or you can raise the bases. So there's two kinds of lines within there. There's a transmission line poles, which cost $5 to $7 million a piece, and there's 6 of them. And then there's distribution line poles, at about $2 million a piece to mitigate. since most of the homes are being removed, a lot of the poles are going to be removed, but some of those poles carry the electricity to Upper Lake, so obviously those need to be maintained and mitigated for. And the county currently has set aside $200,000 for design, and they're working on that. Next. So now we come down to the, as Bruno calls it, the chicken and egg problem. So the Army Corps said, well, you could do a lot of the design and help us get to that 35% design. Next. So designing these things is going to require that the validation study be done so that they can be designed to fit the plan. Next. 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 So for instance, we don't know where the bridge is going to be. We don't know how long the bridge is going to be. You can't design a bridge if you don't know where it is going to be and how long it needs to be. So, any questions?
Yeah, what was the total? I didn't catch that. Total cost of PG&E line moving. It's 2 million per line, per pole?
It's 5 to 7 for the
Transmissions.
the
and 2 million
transmission.
for
So
the
7
distribution.
times 6.
So it's not per, I don't believe it's per. I think it's total.
It's total. I think it's about $1 million a pole, like a one transition, and I think they have 6 in total. So it's
So-
5 to 7 in total.
For the transmissions, and then 2 million per pole on the other ones, I
No,
think?
total for the distribution.
2 million for the total of the distribution poles.
Yeah, I misunderstood that too. I thought it
Sorry.
was per
So
pole.
about 9 million total
That's correct.
that we have to have the funding for.
So if I can help you maybe lose the stomach ache that just occurred, there is a waiver opportunity at Army Corps. We are going to absolutely aim for making the Army Corps pay for everything. This is a massive project that is unattainable for a county such as Lake County with scant resources. When I went to one of our NACO annual conferences, one of the conferences I went to was with the Army Corps, learned about the waivers. We are absolutely primed to receive this waiver. We've already had legislation passed that this is an emergency project. When John Garamendi was the representative for the area where the project is. And we continue to get really good support as well from our current Congressman, Mike Thompson, who has also provided us some funds to be able to continue and pursue this project. So I think we're in a pretty good position to getting support. That doesn't mean it's a done deal. But I just think for a county such as Lake, with the resources we have, that is an opportunity that we will absolutely be doing everything we can to obtain.
And the Middle Creek Coalition met with one of the candidates for Congress in our new district before we got the original money, when he is in his role as our state senator, and very, very supportive of this project.
And so those waivers could be for all of the cost of, is that what you're saying?
We're going to aim for everything, yes. Right now, we have set aside $800,000 to help pay for the design, because 25% is supposed to be the non-federal share. We anticipated the design to be approximately 3.2 million, so 800 was 25%. And we have set aside the $200,000 so that we can go ahead and start the design with PG&E on what to do with the poles. So at this moment in time, we've used approximately $1 million of cannabis funds to ensure that we can keep moving this project. Originally, it was mentioned that some of the options, and this is the discussion, not necessarily the discussion, but the handoff to the Board of Supervisors that we want to have is we're struggling with some of the non-willing sellers or sellers that want us to pay a higher price than what's appraised. One of the options that we had used in the past, it was the Watershed Protection District reserves. We used some of those reserves to help pay the difference where the state paid for the appraised value and we paid through the Watershed Protection District reserves for the difference in order to make a deal. So we have options where some folks may want to negotiate at a higher price than appraised. Is that a better way to move forward than to not get the property and not have the project, or go through eminent domain, which also costs money? Because eventually we cannot do the project without acquiring all the properties, because we have to hand over all of the properties to the federal government so that the Army Corps can have ownership of the properties when they do their project. Then they pass it back onto us with a easement restriction of sorts, conservation easement restriction, so that all of this work is meant to be sustainable and long-term.
Any other questions from board or comments right now?
I don't have any.
Then we'll go ahead and open it to the public. Do we have anybody in the room who wishes to speak? Not seeing any. Do we have any online? Guest, if you could state your name, you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Angela Amaral. I wanted to ask how long before the parcels that have been acquired to date will be changed into either a resource conservation or a conservation easement? Because I know there's several that have been acquired already, but they haven't been changed yet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, when California Department of Fish and Wildlife attended a meeting when this came up, and the representative there said that they are willing to wait till we have them all the parcels for it. And it's not written that way in the grant, but as far as they're concerned, the priority is getting the parcels, and they see no problem in waiting.
Okay. Do we have anyone else online? Betsy, you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Betsy Kahn. I noticed that in the chart that showed the delivery of sediment to the lake, Scotts Creek itself was not listed. And in the UC Davis sediment DNA testing, they indicated that a significant percentage of the sediment comes from Scotts Creek. I'm very interested in pursuing the potential for a future Scotts Creek watershed restoration project that would marry up with this project so that we could also retain sediment in Scotts Valley and reduce that sediment loading. Is there any plan for that to be included at some point?
First of all, I added together the data from Scotts Creek, Clover Creek, and Middle Creek because they're all one by the time they enter the lake. But I'm also on the board of directors for the Resource Conservation District, and we're working our way down. RCD's working its way down from 8 Mile Valley, which they have restored. So that was the beginning of the sediment issues in Scotts Creek. And we have a grant application in to plan the next phase a little further down where there's a lot of sediment. So it's a very high priority for the Resource Conservation District to work on that. Also, I'm the president of the board for the Lake County Land Trust, and it's one of our top priorities as well is to acquire and conserve private land that has environmental value and help as if we can at all with, it's on all the environmentalist radar as the major source. But in that graph, I just added them together because they combine before they reach Clear Lake.
Okay, do we have anyone else online? No? Okay, then I'll bring it back to the board. And I didn't see that presentation in our packet. Are we able to get that? Because I don't think it was included.
I think we were waiting to update it with our final updates that we had just gotten from the Army Corps with that information.
and the June meeting, which just happened last Monday.
Okay.
But we will get that to Dr. Upadhyay, who will pass it on to the rest of the board.
Okay, I think I'd like to make sure that it's available to the public too. I think that's important at this point since we've gone over it. Do you have another comment?
Yeah, I don't want to end this item without at least introducing to everybody Michael Badar. He is sitting in front of us, but I know who he is. I've been working with him. We have been, when we first started this committee, it was a request that we get ourselves a program manager from the very, very beginning. And we finally have an individual who is solely focused on Middle Creek to getting it accomplished, working through the motions to getting every box checked off so we can move this on. And so just want to say thank you to Michael for helping grease the wheels so we can get these things moving. He's having more meetings than any of us could have put together before to really have the conversations that are needed to move this project forward. And I'm excited about having you on board for all the work that you've done so far in the short time that you've already been here. Yeah. I also don't want to leave today without at least some sort of direction to the Water Resources Department. My personal opinion is I think we should allow our Water Resources team to at least come back to the board with, here are some options for purchasing this property, rather than saying, no, they don't want to just pay the appraised value. Obviously, we have our limitations, but I think without entertaining what those negotiated terms would be, we're losing out on moving this project forward. And then at one point in time, if there's obviously no movement, no conversation, no negotiations, that this board really needs to sincerely think about eminent domain, even though it is a hardship to swallow to do that. This project does not function and does not happen without acquiring all the properties. Right now we have, correct me if I'm wrong, please, 21 properties with 10 different owners that we are working with to finalize the full acquisition of properties. There's still some dealings with other public agencies that own some of the properties, but that's not the same situation at all. And so I think that's the direction, and I want to check in with my colleague, Supervisor Crandall. That's the direction I would like to give, so that it gives options and allows us to be able to continue and move forward with this project. This project, as stated earlier with the LG Sonic, this is a permanent potential fix for some of the loss of habitat that we've lost on our marshlands around. I think we've lost about 4,800 acres, and this is 1,600 acres. I might be a little low on the 4,800, but this is 1,600 acres of restoration that is absolutely needed to make our health our lake finally breathe and feel healthy.
Not to mention provide a safe habitat for Hitch.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm okay with everything on the letter. I don't know that we have any. I think we look and identify funding. I don't know of any that's available
As we
right
go.
now, but I don't have a problem with eminent domain if that's where we have to go, because this, I think, is the most important project that we have to get done, more than anything, as far as the health of the lake. And it's been decades already, so we need to try to get this thing done. And so I'm okay with that stuff.
Okay.
I think there's sufficient
Consensus.
direction there.
Perfect.
Everybody's in agreement, so I think with that, that's the end of this discussion at this point, and hopefully we'll go ahead.
Take a quick break.
What was that?
Quick break.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we'll talk more about this later, and we're going to be on a break.
Thank you.
It was nice to
And we're going to move on to our 6.14-215 item, still sitting as the Lake County Watershed Protection District Board of Directors. Consideration or presentation on the Maintenance Area 17, MA 17 status update and strategies for expenses and relation to MCRP. And I'll turn it over to Water Resources Department.
Good afternoon, board. It's Pawan Upadhyay, Lake County Water Resources Director, and I have with me here.
Michael Bidar, Middle Creek Program Coordinator.
Yeah. So today we are here to provide an update on the maintenance area 17, which is a maintenance area which has been, which is like a levee maintenance area which has been maintained by the state till now. But right now, I think we are having some issues with that, and then we will dive into the presentation and as it comes, and then we can address the question at the end. So I will transfer it to Michael to take the presentation from here.
Good afternoon. Okay, I'm Michael Bidar. And this presentation is about the Maintenance Area 17, transfer of the maintenance and operation to Lake County. And we'll go through a little, very brief history of MA 17, why we'd want to transfer it. So what are the current issues that are at hand, and what are some proposed solutions to it? And I'll just say it's a bit under my purview because the land around it and within it has already been acquired for the Middle Creek Restoration Project. So that's how, although it's a bit tangential to the other work we do on the Middle Creek, it's in the land area. So. In the 1960s, state of California assumed operations and maintenance for an area downstream from what they call the Bloody Island pumping plant. It's been renamed to the DWR pumping station in the Middle Creek area. But then at some point in the current century, Lake County took over the operations and maintenance, and then at approximately 2017, it went back to the state. So here's just some documentation of those 1960s letters. Here is some of the further statements that describe the responsibilities of operations and maintenance on it, just historically. And as it says, and item number, point number 1 here, the primary role of the State Department of Water Resources in MA 17 has been to maintain flood control facilities. And that's where our issues come in because of the escalating cost of those facilities being maintained by the state under their, what they consider their responsibilities that cannot really waver. In regard to those escalating costs, you see the bottom line of the total budget of maintaining the area has gone in 2024-2025 from $210,358 to what the proposed 2026-2027 budget would be $576,870. So that is nearly triple. It's a 174% proposed O&M budget increase in those years. And just in the last year, from 25-26 to 26-27, it would be another 54% rise, which we pass on to constituents and at times pay ourselves as a county. What are those funds paying for? Is primarily in the dark green, their plant maintenance. It's hard to read, apologies, but it's 37% for plant maintenance and repairs. It's dominant in the expenses, and there's also environmental support at 21%. Other repairs, restoration and repair, 9%. Of course, not the Middle Creek restoration as we envision it. It's just other repair and restoration. And then engineering support, which further relates to the plant, the pumping plant. So it's a lot of money going into that pumping plant. The previous chart here had been provided by DWR. This is from the Lake County Water Resources Department accounting. showing that in 2021, billed to Lake County Watershed Protection District owned properties was $69,000, which expands greatly all the way to $239,882. That's just going to the constituents. And our total, it's gone from $122,000 in the year 21-22 to this year, $558,262. That is a percent increase of 356%. And again, this current year has that expected jump again. So where is it? It's here inside the area between Highway 20 and Highway 29 in the Middle Creek Restoration area, where gray indicates county-owned properties, or in some small cases, other districts. So the area behind the Army Corps levees include MA-17 and an area known as County Zone 8. And the MA-17 area is behind less than 2 miles of levees. And we already maintain approximately 2 miles behind those same levees for Zone 8. So the cost of the area is disproportionate, even relative to other state maintenance areas. And again, we're paying between 39 and 56% for repair of the pumping station. So ask the question as we look at that expense, does Lake County need the DWR pumping station to be operated and maintained by DWR currently and in the future? Does it need to actually be maintained at all, presently and in the future? And that would bear on our costs. So note that according to the levy database, there have been no breaches of those levees that would have constituted an emergency in the use of that pumping station. And we'll get to more of the question, but I do want to also just mention how it legally fits in. This is Water Code Section 12878.22. Any local agency obligated by Chapters 2, commencing at section, I'll just skip the parentheses. Chapters 2 and 4 of this part, or by Section 8370 of this code, or by any other law of the state, to operate and maintain any unit, any part of whose territory has been incorporated in a maintenance area, or any local agency desirous of assuming the obligation of operating and maintaining any unit concerning which a maintenance area has been formed pursuant to this article, may petition the board or department to dissolve such maintenance area, and the board or department, after a hearing, may dissolve such maintenance area if, in its discretion, it finds it to be in the best interest of the state to do so. So, I believe that's referring to the board of the Flood Prevention District for the Central Valley. And we're by far the furthest west of those Central Valley maintenance areas. So at a meeting of the Central Valley Flood Protection Board, Supervisor Upadhyay attended remotely, and he spoke to the board. Can I quote you here? Okay, he said, in the last 5 years, the budget has gone from roughly $100,000 to roughly $500,000 annually. This five-fold increase is something very difficult for us to pass on to our constituents. Additional to that, this facility services mainly agricultural areas that are no longer in production and have been identified as part of the Middle Creek ecosystem. And the response was, Lake County is welcome to move to dissolve MA-17, but at this time we need a budget, which meant that the budget and that expense for this year was passed, but we have the opportunity to prevent further over expenditures and maintain that area ourselves. Considerations further are that the DWR pumping plant has not been working at a high efficiency for the last 19 years, with at least one pump not working at all. Planning has been ongoing with PG&E to eventually disconnect the power of the facility in relation to the restoration project of Middle Creek. County now owns the currently non-producing agricultural lands that could be affected. Yet it is at this time that DPWR seeks rapidly rising rate of payment, choosing to do those repairs now that we own a lot of it and it's non-producing. I further want to mention, I think it's another slide, that we have a pumping plant of the county's own, not far away, that covers some of the same areas. This is a relevant letter from the Department of Water Resources, who's the supervising engineering geologist, Mark List, to all, meaning us at the Department of Water Resources here in the county. During our previous meeting and at the CVFPB meeting last week, Lake County staff mentioned it may be time to take back the O&M responsibility for MA-17. This would require a legal process to be initiated by Lake County. We are available to discuss this further and hope we can find a likely path to this. Although the MA-17 budget was passed and included increased assessments for ongoing maintenance, including a large increase for the required rehabilitation of the Middle Creek pumping plant, if Lake County takes over and MA-17 is dissolved prior to those expenditures being completed, any unused MA-17 funding that has been paid to DWR would be returned to Lake County once all of MA-17 debits and credits are processed and the books are closed. Therefore, the sooner Lake County takes over, the more likely budgeted funds may go unused, reducing actual expenditures before MA-17 is dissolved, and flood work for this area reverts back to local control and responsibility. Please let us know if you would like to meet and get input on the process to take over MA-17. I've told them that we would like to meet and that we plan to go forward. That's why we come to you, board. This is just a brief look at a fraction of the taxpayers that have been special assessed for the payment to DWR for that pumping plant and its overall MA-17 budget. So the ball's in our court to move forward, and we are here mainly to ask for your support to explore the retaking of MA-17, dissolving it.
Supervisor Crandall.
Yes, so just a quick question about the remainder of folks paying the MA-17. So from what I understand, each property that's been purchased in that area, the burden of the MA-17 goes to the remaining taxpayers.
The burden
has been at least.
Has been going with some. I do want to go back to this slide because there's.
No, so I think the parcel which has been acquired by the district pays the portion for those.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember having a discussion with one of the folks that used to own property out in the Bloody Island area, the elder that passed. He had noticed when some of the properties had got purchased.
4 times more.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody is getting that 4 times more.
That Fund 631 trust did offset for 25, 26, which won't be able to occur in the next year.
Yeah. And I think we have actually not passed the real cost to them. Like we just raised like a small amount and the district covered the rest of it. So not just the district paid their portion, our district's portion, but it also paid for the other share.
Supervisor Owen.
I just wanted to ask EJ, since this is primarily in your district, correct? What
Yeah.
you guys are feeling about it, what your constituents think about this, or has it been brought to them yet?
This is, you're basically saying dissolve MA-17 so they wouldn't be paying into it no more? Is that what I'm
So
hearing?
I think
So they'd be shutting it down though?
so it's not shutting down, it's like mainly dissolving, which is from the state perspective, but the county will take over. So we will still inspect the levies. There would be bill sent to the constituent, but it won't be the bill which states decide. It's the bill which the county, based on like what exists right now,
Okay.
we will do the minimal like the inflation cost adjustment what we do for other areas, because there are levies which is right north to it, which we already maintain.
Okay, so
Yes.
it wouldn't have a negative impact on EJ's constituents?
No, it would be probably, in essence, I mean, from what I understand, the state hasn't really done a lot when it comes to the MA-17 work. So, I mean, at least there would be a little more
So
happening.
I think
Yeah.
it will stay at where it is right now. Like as you looked into the presentation, that pumping plant has not been fixed in last 19 years.
Okay,
But now the most of those parcel has been acquired by the district for the Middle Creek project, and now they are moving forward to fix that plant, which is costing so much. But at this time, it doesn't make sense to move forward to fix that pumping plant because one, the most of those parcel is part of the Middle Creek project, and the other is I think it can stay like where it is. Like we will keep it up to the point where district acquire all the parcels, and probably at that point it doesn't even matter whether to fix that plant or not.
perfect, thank you.
And so we still have to pay the bill this year, but we wouldn't next year. Is that, my
So-
understanding that right?
So it's the timing. So if we get it by July, because that's when the new fiscal year starts. So if we get it by July, maybe we can get all that thing refunded, or it depends on, it would be prorate basis, like whichever month it's
It'll be
decided.
prorated.
Yeah, yeah.
And if we approve this, then how long do you expect it to take for the dissolution?
I believe it was a couple of months process
Yeah.
you mentioned.
Okay. All right, any other questions from board members before we open it to the public? We'll go ahead and open it to the public. Is there anybody in the room? Not seeing any in the room. Do we have anyone online? Nobody online. Bring it back to the board for any final go ahead.
Yes, I'm gonna just make a request that before any decision is made here regarding this, that there be a full risk analysis, a full fiscal analysis before you make any decision to determine any long-term impact of this decision.
That would be.
You know, I like that. I mean, my
Yeah.
other question was gonna be, what is the risk to the county?
That's what I was basically asking to
Like,
EJ.
what's our
is
liability
the
and all
Negative
that?
impacts.
So would that be something that's done by your office, Mr. Catalano?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, in part. So the recommended action of your board is essentially consists of just direction of staff to look into the dissolution of ME 17 and that would be part of that, as I understand it, unless your board wants to give more specific direction. Says that provide direction on the dissolution of ME 17 or DWR pumping plant, and that would include the associated risk analysis that CAO Parkin mentioned.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, I thought we were already kind of doing work on the levies ourselves, so there's a certain responsibility. Yes, some of it's state, some of it's us. We would just be taking the full responsibility. Am I correct that it's not like nothing to something, it's just something to something more? And so I don't mind looking into that. I think it's always a good thing to check, but I don't mind giving direction saying, please work with county council. If there's a risk level that county council is uncomfortable with, please bring it back. And if not, go ahead and continue with the dissolution of the MA 17. If we can provide that in one fell swoop rather than having to come back to tell us we're good, that would be great.
CAO,
I also recommend a fiscal analysis long-term.
long-term fiscal analysis?
Yes,
And in what department would, admin?
yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Supervisor.
Sorry to argue a little bit. If it's our responsibility, and I know that's what Supervisor Owen and I'm sure Supervisor Crandall are thinking about, we get to set the rate of what MA 17 is to make sure that we're doing the work to keep those communities safe, where right now we know, I won't put it this way. Right now, the state has been collecting funds, but we haven't really seen a whole lot of activity coming from the state. So I just feel like it's almost like a rate study of sorts that we can still, if there's a huge need in order to protect communities, that we can look at increasing fees to make sure that those levies remain whole and don't fall apart. So I think there's flexibility. That doesn't mean that we don't do the financial check, but I think that we have the tools to be able to ensure that it's sustainable financially for us as well. Am I correct on?
Yeah, so I think this pumping plant which is in that blue dot there, like in the middle, and that's the yellow outline is the one area which it protects. And in the gray are the parcel which is already owned by the district for the Middle Creek Restoration Project. So if you look into that, like, and that I think the yellow one are the tribal lands. So in between those, I think most of, like I will say probably 90% of the parcel or more than 90% is already acquired by the Middle Creek Restoration Project. So even if those parcels flood, it doesn't matter because there is literally nothing. That's part of the Middle Creek project. There is nothing to protect there. But by the statutory requirement by the state, because that's part of their responsibility to fix it, even though they have not done anything till last 19 years. But now they want to move forward to fix that plan. So the basic idea there is, like, I don't think there is a need to fix that plan, especially at this time when most of the parcel is already part of the Middle Creek project. But as per legal requirement, they are required to fix it. So they are, if we take it over, we don't have to fix it. But from their perspective, it seems like they are required, even though they have been required for last 19 years, but they have done nothing about it. But now it seems like they want to move forward with fixing that thing. I think that's where it becomes important that we take it over, because basically there is no need to fix that thing, especially if it costs millions of dollars to fix that.
Do we have a timeline that they're stating that they're gonna come in and fix it, and if we don't?
It would be multiple years. So if you see, like, that's why the cost is going up. Like last year it was close to $500,000. It's right now it's 600,000, and then it will keep going up for next couple of years. If you all add up, it would be more $2 to $3 million in total.
But realistically, if they haven't done anything for 19 years, are they gonna come do something next month?
No, not next month. It would, right now they are probably in the design phase, like the engineering and other things. Once they are done with that, like any project takes, it would be a multi-year project then.
Yeah. Well, my main concerns remain, what is there a risk to the county? Because I don't know, I'm not an expert. Yeah. Is there long-term risk to the county? And is there financial risk to the county? I don't know. I mean, it seems like it's going to cost less and the people will have to pay less.
Yes, like if the county takes over, like the district has to pay less, people have to pay less, because we will keep it at where it stays right now, rather than like what the state is requiring. They are increasing it every year, and most of that cost is going towards fixing that pumping plant. And maybe we can do after that risk analysis, if we make sure that, okay, that's definitely not needed, it can go down to up to 50%, because 50% of that $500,000 is just to fix that pumping plant.
And County Council, do we have an estimate of time for a risk analysis? How long that would take?
From our side of
Yeah.
things, from our offices, and
Yeah.
thank you, Mr. Chair, it would be 1 to 2 weeks. Part of the consideration here is they did cite Water Code Section 12878.22, and that does involve a petition process and a hearing process before what they're terming here, what they've used the term board or department. The board there is SWRCB, that's the State Water Resources Board, according to the Water Code. Department would be the Department of Water Resources, both of which are state agencies. So part of my office's analysis would be to go through those procedural requirements to see what exactly does, what a hearing such as this, what it would consist of, and what needs to be presented if the county does propose or make a request or petition a dissolution. So that's going to be part of the analysis.
And you said a couple of weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
I was just going to ask EJ if this is something that your town halls would like to know about.
I don't think, no, I mean, I think
right.
they can tune in here.
You know your people.
Yeah, this one, it shouldn't be.
I didn't know if you.
Someone could pontificate, I mean, that happens quite frequently, but not with this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
CAO.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to restate, I don't have a comfort level of going forward without a fiscal analysis. I want to make sure that the board is making a long-term decision that does not negatively affect our fiscal stance.
And do we have a time estimate on doing one?
I do not know how many materials, we haven't been involved in this discussion.
Yeah.
We'll expedite as soon as possible. We have 3 budget hearings next week, so it won't be before then. Sir.
Okay, well, I think both of those analyses, just my opinion, are important. But I don't know where the board is.
I think that's shrewd to go ahead and check into it. I'd like to see it expedited if possible. I know obviously next week, but I believe Mr. Guanavedo had mentioned that it was going to take a couple of weeks for him too, so.
All right. I guess we're ready for final
I think it's,
action. I
think
don't
it's
think we,
yeah, I think
I haven't
it's,
heard consensus on that.
I think, yeah, it's just a consideration of the presentation, right? Yeah. Do it.
Well, it was,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess it was
Direction.
just consideration, but
Direction.
still,
to
as
it.
far as direction, I don't,
Yeah.
are you okay with
Yeah.
that?
Mhm.
Okay. So CAO and County Council, do you feel like, do you have any questions about the consensus for the direction?
That can be provided via consensus, direction to staff. I just wanted to confirm with the board if public comment has been taken on
Public
this.
comment?
Yes.
Yeah, I opened it for public and there was, as far as I remember, I opened it and there was nothing online. So go ahead, Supervisor.
For direction, is it to do the risk analysis for legal and financial analysis, if there's anything to worry? Because I'm ready to move forward, but I also want to have a review. If in that review there's concerns, bring it back. If there's no concerns, because yes, the funding will cover what's needed. No, there's no legal, I mean, there's always some legal risk to anything and everything we do. Just showing up here, there's a legal risk. But I'm just, if anything is above and beyond the comfort level, bring it back. If not, let's go ahead and keep moving forward with the solution.
So then so if there's no concerns by admin, don't bring it back to us at all,
We can keep
Is-
moving.
is what you're saying. Okay, is everybody good with that? Okay.
I would just if you can just say, yep, all was good, just give us a thumbs up, so we
Okay,
know.
so we want to hear back something.
I would feel better, so we know it's moving.
Yeah, I would too, rather than just not hearing
Yeah.
anything about it. But that's only two of us, so,
I mean, that takes an email. That doesn't require a whole board.
Yeah, that's fine, and I don't care how we,
okay.
how they notify us.
Then we'll get a notification, okay. All right. Then do you have direction? Okay. So then we're going to conclude this item. Thank you for coming in. And we're going to move on to,
Thank you.
yes. You have any suggestions? Because we finished timed.
Why don't we do 7.2, and then we can quickly go into pulled items.
Okay. I'll read off 7.2, consideration of whether to initiate the formal park renaming process.
Oh, I asked to pull that.
No, but I have to read it
Oh,
out.
okay, I see.
So, consideration of whether to initiate the formal park renaming process pursuant to county policy for the existing Middletown Square Park. And we have a request by Supervisor Owen to pull that and move it to July 14th at a time to be determined. And does anybody in the board have concern about that? No?
Not much.
So then I'd open it to the public, just only to the point of whether or not we should move it. Is there anyone in the room? Not seeing anyone? Anyone online? No, so bring it back to the board, and we have consensus to move it, so it's moved.
I would like to have a time set on it. So
We
we
are.
can okay,
We just don't know what that is today. We won't know until next week.
that's
But it'll
perfect.
be July 14th at
Yes, I've got
at
that.
a time.
Thank you.
Okay, so ideas on pulled items, order of pulled items.
5.6 and 5.7.
So we'll start with 5.6. And let me get there to read it off. This is to approve a memorandum of understanding between Lake County Behavioral Health Services and the Lake County Health Services Department, Public Health Division for the 2026 Pride Fair, and authorize the board chair to sign. And I'm not sure why this was pulled or who's starting. Is it going to be you?
Yeah, I'll just start for my reasons for pulling it. So this is utilizing, I know it's a very small amount of opioid settlement funds. I have expressed concerns in the past of our opioid settlement funds, and I am going to continue to share my concerns, and that I don't believe that this is, I don't believe that we went through an appropriate process for saying what it is that we wanted to spend it on, and I don't believe this meets the process either. So at this moment in time, just like our previous opioid settlement fund contracts, I cannot agree to this today.
Director Jones, did you want to provide us with any information as far as the original request?
The original request is to distribute naloxone, which is the agent by which you can reverse overdoses. The Pride Fair itself is populated by younger folks, people who are more at risk for overdose deaths. Also distributing information about outreach on how to access substance use disorder treatment services, information about drugs like fentanyl and how they can sneak into a variety of different mediums. And so we were looking at expanding and targeting outreach for those young people and people attending the Pride Fair who would be our target population as identified by our community and by the existing expenditure plan. It is not just to pay for general services or costs related to the Pride Fair. It is specific to naloxone distribution and substance use education.
Okay, and so that $867 would go to the health department to cover this activity, this part of the Pride Fair.
If it's allowable, so they're required as part of the MOU to submit their receipts, their invoices, pictures, photos, documentation that what they did aligned with the purpose and intent of the funding. And again, we have aligned our expenditure plan with the opioid settlement fund accounts, the abatement accounts, in terms of allowable uses, and determined that that's well within and an encouraged use, in fact, of those funds.
So what you're saying is it could be less. It just can't be more than $867 if they submit $500 worth of
That's correct,
authorized.
Mr. Chair, yes.
Okay. Were you wanting to offer something?
The only thing I was going to say is we have an exact plan for that, which is why you see the $867.
Okay,
It will be the whole thing.
okay. Are there any other questions from board members at this point?
I just want to know how effective these outreaches are. Do we have statistics on what, how many it's helped and how many have, how much prevention it has done?
I appreciate that question. We're also very interested in outcomes. We are coming to the board with a full presentation of the opioid settlement fund projects to date, including the full spectrum of programming, funding received. What I can tell you is that since the big push of naloxone across not just Lake County, but across the state, we have seen a decrease. Again, we're trying to save lives. So reduction in deaths by opioid death. And so we look forward to coming to the board next month to present more concrete outcome data regarding the programming.
Anything else?
No, I don't feel comfortable with it, had been being started June or April 1st. And it just coming forward, and then not having the data at this point, because we've been, using opioid funds for some time, and so, yeah, there's just a little level of discomfort.
Is there a reason the April 1st date? Like, I'm just wondering.
It is because for some historical background context, the community has identified SafeRx, which is a coalition designed to reduce opioid deaths in Lake County that's been existing for many years, as a steering committee. It's not an authoritative body. It doesn't make determinations like your board does about funding. However, we began talking about how we could better integrate opioid remediation into their programming and events, and this was raised. It does not retroactively cover anything or reimburse anything. It is just simply in alignment with the recommendations of SafeRx, and thus is before your board today.
Go ahead.
Yes, the meeting where we finally determined the appropriate course of action and developed the MOU was within the past 30 days.
Okay. If there's no other questions, I'll open it to the public. Do we have anybody in the room who wishes to speak on this item? Not seeing any. Is there any online? No. Okay. Before I make a final comment, is there any other comments before? Well, where I said is, I mean, based on what I know about opioid settlement use, I think providing naloxone is within the realm of those uses. And I personally know and have been involved with a lot of lives being saved by the use of that I've seen in our community, as well as whatever the type of fare is at these different parks throughout the county, Lakeport and Clear Lake. I see that they tend to get a lot of people going to them, whether it's whatever type of an event it is. So I'm okay with it. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So one option for your board is if your board wants to have a full discussion of this item in light of the absent board member, as with any other item, your board has that option to pull the item, similar to the other pulled items, to take it up at a future date, and that may give staff time to provide more information to your board of what was raised today, what was brought up today, more information or documentation as it relates to this item. That is just an option
Right.
for your board.
And what was the date of the fair?
July something.
Is it in July? What I'm trying to figure out is
Pride Month is June.
because we can't.
June 28th is
Yeah.
the
Oh,
day
okay,
of the
the
Pride
end of
So
Fair.
June 23rd, and we're still going to have one less supervisor, would be the next date that we could do it at.
Well, I would state, I have an assumption as to what the missing vice chair's perspective would be. You don't have an assumption of what my perspective is. And so I don't know how it's all going to fall when the votes come in, but at least if you waited till the 23rd, you would know what my perspective is, as I stated it pretty clearly, that I'm uncomfortable with moving forward.
Right. So then how does the board feel? We would need 3 of us. I'd be okay moving it to the 23rd. You, but that leaves Supervisor Owen.
I was going to vote against it.
Okay. So, so if a vote was taken today, it won't pass because it's going to be 2-2. If we move it to the 23rd, it could be different, but right now, we don't have consensus to move it. We're still at, well, it sounds like we do. So that's 3.
He said he was fine.
I am
Okay,
fine
that's
with
right, you did.
holding it back. I'm not here to cancel or kill an item. I am here to
Right.
register my vote on how I feel, and
Okay, well, that just gave me consensus of 3 to move it. So so at this point, I guess I need to pull it back and move it to the 23rd.
Yes, if I may.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, and so with that proposal, your board may want to consider just opening it up to the public comment again on this present proposal of
Okay.
pulling the item and continuing it to that date.
Yes, correct. So we'll open it to the public again, just to the limited to our discussion about now, not making a decision today, but moving this item to the 23rd. Is there anybody here that wants to talk about that? Not seeing anyone in the room? Anyone online? No? So then I think we're going to need a motion and a vote on that, or just consensus.
It would be just consensus
Okay.
to continue it to that
Okay.
date, which I believe is June 23rd.
Okay, so it sounds like we got consensus then, so place this back on as a non-timed item, I guess, or something?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So that concludes this item for now. Director, thank you. And then we're going to move on to 5.7. And this is to adopt a resolution authorizing a standard agreement number 26-60035 between the County of Lake and the California Department of Healthcare Services for the administration, oversight, and compliance of county behavioral health programs and authorizing the behavioral health director to sign the agreement related administrative documents. This is a behavioral health item. Was it your request to pull into, okay, I'm not sure.
I
so-
think it was was that the one for the?
You might have pulled that one.
Oh.
Angela did, yes, so I'm not sure why it was pulled, but maybe you can give us a brief overview of the item. We'll start there.
I pulled 5.13.
Absolutely, would be my pleasure. So as a level setting, the department acts on behalf of the Department of Healthcare Services. We are essentially a contractor and an authorized entity with the state of California to deliver behavioral health services. And so they require a variety of different standard agreements, and this is true across all 58 counties, for the county behavioral health plan to operate at their pleasure, essentially, determined by laws, et cetera, and so forth. For this standard agreement in particular, it is a transition representing Proposition 1, Behavioral Health Services Act, and Behavioral Health Transformation. So it includes a very robust variety of compliance reporting programmatic requirements that the behavioral health plan must provide and comply with. So that's a very brief summation. It is a $0 agreement. There is no monetary value. And so you could characterize this as entirely compliance and programmatically driven.
Okay, thank you very much. You have questions, Supervisor?
Yeah, just one question. I figured that it was a separate agreement. This is, because it talks about BHSA so much throughout the whole document. It is not the approval of the BHSA plan that's coming at a later time, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's what I thought. It just said it so often, I was like, maybe I'm misreading this. Thank you.
Any other board questions? And let's open to the public. I'm going to start online with this one because Angela Amaral may be on. And is she there, ready to speak? Okay, Angela, go ahead and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Supervisor Sabatier, for that clarification. The reason I did pull this is with so many drastic changes at Behavioral Health Department and with funding, I feel there might be a need to have a little bit more oversight. With Behavioral Health Department is requesting a lot of revisions lately to agreements, and it's unclear if the state is still proceeding with the request to recoup funds from the county, which I believe was over $1 million when the county agreed to send a letter to the state and CMS. And I just wanted to make those comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela, and let's see if we have any other comments before we answer. Is there anyone else? And was there anyone in the room? And Director, did you want to make any quick comments about the question that was raised? This is a $0, this one here.
Yes, and I can appreciate the complexity of behavioral health finance and the difficulty of understanding it in its entirety for any one community member. However, the issues raised by Ms. Amaral, while I wouldn't say are entirely unrelated because everything is related, are perhaps not germane to this specific item.
Okay. And just for the public's awareness, next week we are going to have a very extensive discussion on behavioral health financing. So I would encourage anyone to be monitoring that that's curious. And with that, I'll close public comment and bring it back to the board for action.
I offer the resolution.
Resolution's been offered.
Supervisor Owen? Aye.
Supervisor
Spatier? Aye.
Supervisor Crandall?
Yes.
Supervisor Rasmus?
Aye, and that carries 4-0. Thank you, Director. And moving on, CAO.
5.9.
Let's go to 5.9.
What happened to 5.13?
I'm going to get to it.
Oh, okay.
So, let me find this one. 5.9 is setting as the Lake County Sanitation District Board of Directors approve the sewer mainline extension agreement between the Lake County Sanitation District and Clear Lake CIC, LP, for the installation of a sewer collection line and associated manhole to serve the proposed development project, and authorize the chair to sign. And we have our special districts administrator here. I'm not sure why it was pulled. Was that
Angela again.
Angela again? So do you want to, we'll do it the same. Do you want to give us a brief overview of this?
I would love to. So this item before you is the mainline extension agreement to extend the sewer line from where it's at to the 18th Avenue apartment complex, going in currently referred to as Clear Lake CICLP, Valley Vista. And this project is a development project within the city of Clear Lake. It's been through their development process and approved. It's also a low-income housing project on state property. So this is just a standard extending our sewer system, the collection system in our existing boundaries. And Christopher Gayland represents the developer, and he's on Zoom if there's any specific questions for him as well.
Okay. Any questions from board members before I open it to the public?
No, I think I had asked my questions at an earlier time when you were up, which I kind of did have a question on that, so that was great.
Okay. So I don't see any other supervisors, so let's start on Zoom again. And we have hands up. Angela, go ahead. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this one, I actually asked for it to be pulled because it just seemed out of sync with item 6.10 on the agenda. And I did get some of the questions answered during that. And thank you, Director Bore. One, I wanted to, and this got answered, was the overall system of health being fully considered, and it sounded like it is. As we know, the sewer break in Clear Lake was not a minor failure. It leads a question, is the system already at capacity or aging out due to lack of upgrades or maintenance? How much more can the system handle before needing major upgrades? And does the city of Clear Lake carry any liability when approving several development projects to be added onto an already severely aged system that has had failures? Those are my questions. Thank you.
Can I respond?
Yeah, is there going to be other comments?
Yes, there is one more Betsy on.
Okay, can I take that first and then go ahead? Go ahead, Betsy, you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Betsy Kahn. I too was curious about the item first because of what Mr. Guintavano refers to as the caption. I have no idea what CICLP is, and of course I heard Director Bore's explanation, but it could have been illuminated just a little bit more in the caption, and my question would have been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. And then was that the last comment on Zoom? And was there anybody in the room? Not seeing any, I'll bring it back and close public comment. Go ahead, Director.
So mainline extension agreements and large development projects like this require what we call capacity analysis. It's done by the licensed engineer. It's fed into our capacity model to ensure that our system is not going to be overburdened and has the capacity for this, and identifies any issues that said development would have to improve. The capacity study was done on this. It's about $395,000 that the development will be contributing to improvements in the system, in addition to their capacity connection fees. In addition, the development pays 100% of the cost to extend this line. So that's also at their cost to the manhole, the connection, and the piping in the ground.
Thank you. Okay, we'll bring it back to the board for action.
Trying to get there. Move to approve the sewer mainline extension agreement between the Lake County Sanitation District and Clear Lake CICLP for the installation of a sewer collection line and associated manhole to serve the proposed development project, and authorize the chair to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries 4-0. And now I'm going to move on to 5.13. Get over there. This is A, waive formal bidding process pursuant to County Ordinance 3137, Section 28.2, to 38.2, sub 2, not in the public interest, and B, approve contract between County of Lake and North Coast Opportunities Incorporated for Stage 1 Child Care Services in the amount of $1,500,000 per fiscal year from May 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, and authorize the chair to sign. And I believe Supervisor Owen, that was your
That was
poll?
mine,
So
yes.
do you want to start out with your concern?
Yeah, I did. I do. I would love to. Just with it being such a large ticket amount, I was wondering about the last time it was put out to bid and why it's not important to put this out to bid. It looked like we've been going with the same people, and that there's limited perhaps people that are licensed for this. Is that the way I read it?
No, they're the state-selected AAT provider, so there really isn't anyone else who can provide the services they provide. Childcare is divided into a little different pots. We handle Stage 1 childcare, which is fully state and federally funded, and then the state handles other types of subsidized childcare. NCO is that selected provider at the state level, so that is who we need to go with. And
Okay, I did read that. It just seemed funny not to put it out to bid to see if we get better deals. So it sounds like it's really not an option to put it out to bid.
It's really not an option, and there's no county or funds from my department going to pay for this. It's fully state and federally funded without a cap, and there is a cap on the amount that NCO can charge for administration and direct client services, and that is included in the contract, and it would be same for any other vendor.
Okay, and then, so this really just does not go out to bid, because that was one of my other questions. Offers these services. Sorry, I had several questions. You just answered a few of them. I would like to know a breakdown on the distribution and the fee funds amounts in each community for what the pockets, if that is for each of the communities, what is, and I'm not asking for this today, it's just something I would like to see, what is spent in each area.
Sure, I can
how many kids are enrolled in the program in those areas, and what it works out to be per hour per child, what the actual end cost are.
Okay. Yeah, I can follow up with that information.
Thank you.
I pulled the general, like countywide data for the month of April. We issued $102,000 just in Stage 1 childcare to 64 childcare providers for 160 children to allow 81 families to go to work. But that's not broken down by area, so I will.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to see what it was working out per child. Also, I was wondering, one of the things I kind of missed was, is there follow-up to make sure that the parents are actually needing this program to be able to work, and are they working?
Within the program requirements, yes. Everybody who is receiving these benefits has been certified as eligible within the program requirements, and then NCO also keeps another record of those certifications. So we both have that in our case files, and NCO has that in their case files as well.
And what did you say, how many kids for the month of April?
For the month of April, there were 160 children and $102,000 worth. It's like $102,001.77 or something like that. So rounded 102,000.
Not to be specific.
Yes. Do the math on that.
You have further, Supervisor?
Nope, that's it, thank
Then
you.
we'll go to Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, I'm glad that we pulled it because our recommended action is not, it matches probably last year's.
Probably does.
I did that last time I put a item on the agenda as well. I forgot to change the recommended action. The title looked good, but because it talks about May 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026 for 1.1 million. So I'm glad we pulled it so we can do it the right way so you don't have to come back.
Yes, I apologize for that. Thank you.
But I'm ready to go. What I
I
would
don't
do
think
is,
I've opened to the public.
yeah, but I'm ready to go. What I would do is change in a motion that 38.22 is not that it's not in the public interest, that it is a unique goods and that sole source.
Okay.
And that worked out to be about $637.50 per child.
Pretty good deal, considering out of pocket, if you're paying, it's between
Yeah.
800 and 1,000.
That's what I was kind of trying to get at.
Okay, so before we take action, I'll open it up to the public. Is there anybody online?
Yes, there's Angela Emerald online.
Angela, go ahead. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I think my questions got answered with Supervisor Owen and Supervisor Sabatier's questions, and yes, it sounds like it's more of a unique service that isn't offered anywhere else. Are there any performance reports or audits of previous contracts to see where the money was allocated to and how it was used, and if the program is performing as expected? Thank you.
We have a monthly report that we audit before we issue payment every month, and we can do more in-depth audits on demand if we decide to do so. There's also a federal audit required yearly that NCO has to provide a copy of to us.
Okay, is there anyone else online? No, and do we have anyone in the room that wishes to comment? Not seeing any. So I'll go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to the board. Did you want to make that?
Mr. Chair, I move to waive the formal bidding process pursuant to County Code Ordinance 3137, Section 28.2, due to 38.2, Section 2, due to the unique nature of goods and services, and approve the contract between the County of Lake and North Coast Opportunities Incorporated for Stage 1 child care services in the amount of $1.5 million per fiscal year from May 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027, and authorize the chair to sign. I guess after a second, I do have a question because of how I just read that.
Go ahead with the question.
My question is, per fiscal year, but we have May 1st, 2026 to June 30th. I guess I'm
It's
confused.
more than a fiscal year.
It's
Or it's
Yeah,
less.
that's once again, the memo doesn't match the contract. I'm so sorry. One of my contract analysts is out on leave. The term is July 1st of 26 through June 30th of 27. So doubly good that this got pulled.
that is what I meant to say. Thank you for correcting.
So the motion is corrected. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Rachel.
Director.
Thank you.
And with that, we've still got closed session work, but I want to check in with supervisors if they have any weekly calendar that they need to. I have one thing I want to say, but anybody else want
I
to
can't
put
seem
anything
to
out
open my
today?
calendar.
What was that?
I can't seem to open my calendar.
Okay. Supervisor Owen, do you have anything you want to put out today?
Nothing big. I mean, nothing that can't wait. Go ahead.
Okay. Supervisor Crandall, did you have anything?
I'm okay.
I just wanted to quickly say,
Oh, yeah, I do, but
what's that?
I do.
Go-
Just,
go ahead
it's
first.
just the Nice neighborhood night out on Saturday at 4, from 4 to 6
Thank you.
at the Nice Event Center.
Yes. And I was just going to mention, thank the EPA and all the, that's the Environmental Protection Agency and all the county staff and Supervisor Owen that got the opportunity to have an extensive tour of the Sulphur Bank mine site. And everything sounds good for them to be on track with starting that remediation, except that the cost is going from 95 million to 120 million. But anyway, just wanted to mention that it's exciting to hear that that's finally moving forward.
It was a great tour.
Decades, yes, thank you. And that's all I'm going to report today, and I'm going to read off the closed session. And that'll be 8.1, Public Employee Evaluation, Title Social Services Director. 8.2, Conference with Legal Counsel, Significant Exposure to Litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D2 and E1 for potential cases. And then 8.3, which is an addendum, Public Employee Appointment pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B1, and that's interviews for Health Services Director and appointment of Health Services Director. And with that, is there anybody online that wishes to comment about any of those closed items? Anybody in the room? Not seeing any. We'll go ahead and adjourn our open session and move into closed session at 3:44. And Susan?